what's going on? Once again, back. It's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game Podcast. I'm rapper turned dating coach Dale Valor for modern success. To my left, or right, or up or down, depending on how my editor does it, is my trusted confidant, Shabam. What's good, bro?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just
all
done
right,
with our
with
festival,
that enthusiasm. Like, I'm cool.
Yep. That's the perfect reaction, you know.
Well, listen, I'm excited about this particular episode. It's something that's very fundamental to my book. It's something I talk about in great detail. And one of the things I'd like to say that I coined this. I don't know if I did or not, to be honest, but I say it all the time. And you know what that saying is a man that knows who he is and knows what he wants is a dangerous man. Unfortunately, most guys don't know either, you know. And the thing about that is this, you know, what we're going to be talking about today is knowing exactly what it is that you want. All right. And we've addressed knowing who you are, but if you missed that episode, I'm gonna tell you this: go to freegiftfromdale.com, and there's a whole exercise for free to start understanding who you are at the core. You know, your intrinsic value, how to understand nature and nurture, environmental. You know, all these things all play a huge part in defining who you are. And so if you go there, not only can you do that exercise, but you can get the first chapter of my book for free. So just head on over there, freegiftfromdale.com, get that download, do that exercise. You couple that with what we're going to be talking about today, man, you're on your way to being unstoppable. And that's across the board. I'm not just talking about with dating. I'm talking about professionally. Of course, I'm talking about with dating too, but the relationships that you have in your life, you know, with friends and family and like all of it, man, growing a social circle, you know, even things like defining, you know, your health goals and your financial goals and things like that, man, this is so fundamental to that. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, what is inner game? And so I'm going to break it down for you real quick since you're on the Inner Game Podcast. Well, to me, the way I define it is this. Inner game is the relationship that you have with you. And if that relationship suffers, in likelihood, most, if not all of your other relationships are going to suffer too. If you want fruitful, vibrant relationships in your life, it starts here, man. You're the common denominator amongst everything going on around you. You are literally the center of your universe. You know what I mean? And so what type of universe is that going to be? That's up to you. But I'm glad you're here because this is a perfect way to start really developing that and really starting to hone that relationship and foster a positive relationship with you. If you don't like you, man, how can you expect anybody else to? You've already set the bar, man. You set the expectation for yourself, you know? So of course it's going to be a lot more difficult for people to resonate with you because they're like, well, that guy doesn't even like himself. Why should I invest my emotions into this individual? You know what I mean? So, but that's why I really want to go deep on what it is that you want. All right. And I'm sure, Shabam, that you run into this probably as much as I do. You know, you're an entrepreneur, you're a businessman, you know. Yep. Actually, I'm curious, you know, when somebody, you know, is going to hire your services for cybersecurity or, you know, whatever the case might be, you know, it's a little outside of my area of expertise. So I'm not even exactly sure everything that what you do, but you know, but the thing is, I know that you have clients, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you probably do consultation calls, right? I assume?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
When somebody calls you for a consultation call, how often is it that you kind of have to get your arms around understanding what it is that they actually want from you because they don't really get it themselves. How often is
That's
that?
actually a lot more common these days than before. Like,
Really?
I'm not even gonna kid. Yeah, it's actually like, okay, sometimes it's like a disaster scenario. For example, like someone's website already got hacked. Okay, let's say. Then what he wants is to just recover his website and undo the damage, or like damage control essentially. That is a bit more straightforward. Okay. Then sometimes someone will come because they just heard that they need to get website security, or they need to make the website secure, but they don't know what. Now it's like, now I need to go through, like, as if they just know because everyone else told them,
Right.
like they just know, like, it is something important, but they got no clue like what it is. It's something like, someone comes to you and says like, I want to do some marketing, but he doesn't know what to do. Now, because if you think about marketing, it's such a big thing, because there's like online, offline, like you could do, like, there's just so many things to do. But if you ask him, he's like, I don't know, I just want to do marketing. Like, that's the like, that's literally the, like, sometimes you'll get people like that because someone told them. For example, this is like common. Sometimes I get like, someone will come out like, I need to like, build my online presence and start my online marketing. Now I said, like, what exactly do you want to do and what's your budget for it, like, sort of thing. They're like, I'm not sure. That's literally the reason. Because they don't, like, they understand it's important. Like, they do understand the concept that you need to build an online presence, you need to make people like, like, this is the new thing, like the digital, like, world. But they don't know what it is exactly. They just want it because everyone else is also doing the same, and they're getting results. We want the same thing, sort of thing. So now you are actually like, it takes a bit of a while, but like, you need to kind of educate them. In the sense, it's a bit of customer education. After that, you kind of like, be like, okay, this is exact, like, if I were you, you kind of, I mean, you don't directly say that, you do this. It's basically, I mean, that's what I do personally, is like, I suggest them, if I were you, I would do this, then this, and depending on results, I'll do this and this and this, sort of thing.
Right.
So
I got you.
That's how I get it.
Yeah. So, that just goes to, demonstrate my point, is that most people don't know what they really actually want. Like, they have an idea, they have some semblance of knowing, but they don't really know. Like, for instance, if I was to walk around my neighborhood and just ask people, what is it that you want? I mean, I could get any number of answers, but, a lot of times somebody's going to be like, well, I want to be super paid. I want to be a liquid millionaire. I want to be just wildly rich. Like, okay, cool. What action steps are you doing to make that happen? Oh, nothing. Okay. Well, then do you really want it? You know what I mean? So, maybe they tell me something that's a little more, I don't know, noble, if you will. There's nothing wrong with wanting money, nothing wrong with wanting to be a millionaire, but I'm just saying maybe something a little more, I don't know, normal, I guess. They may say something like, I want my kids to go to college, or I want to, move into management at my job. Something that's a little more realistic. I guess that's probably what I'm looking for here.
Yeah.
Something that's a little more, real, like attainable, right? And even in those cases, okay, cool. How much money have you saved up for your kids' tuition? Nothing. Okay. All right. What are you doing at your job to start making those moves? Well, I just show up and go to work. Like, all right, man. Like, basically what you're telling me is that this is just lip service. I'm saying something that either A, Dale wants to hear, or B, just something that I just feel like I should say. You know what I mean?
I think there's a third one. Like, third one is like, okay, it's something like, you'd say it's good to have.
Yeah.
But you don't really need it. It's something like, okay, let me give a better example. I'm just thinking, okay. Okay. it would like, it's like saying, it would be great if I could drive a helicopter. I mean, pilot a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, of course, it's like, if I had, if I could instantly get the skill, why not? Like, but am I gonna, start taking lessons or something like that? No, because yes, it would be cool to have, but do I really want it? Nah.
Right.
I mean, because if you really wanted something, like really, really, like, imagine, like every week you get uncomfortable, like, I mean, every day of the week, you really get uncomfortable knowing that you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna do something about it, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, let's say, out of 7 days, one day I feel like, yeah, I should, really learn to drive a helicopter or something like that.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, at that day I might say, and if you ask me, what you go, like, yeah, I would love to do that, but am I gonna actually, take action?
To me, that's not really wanting something. I mean, yeah, I mean, kind of, but it's like.
I mean, yeah, okay, that example is a bit skewed. Okay, let's take it something like, yes, I want 6 packs. Let's say. Okay. Take that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's the same thing. Do I really want it bad enough to go to the gym every day, or do I I mean, 7 days of the week, I'm like, out of those 5, I'm gonna eat like a pig, and on 2 days I'm gonna slightly feel bad that I ate like a pig, and then gonna be like, yeah, I should really go to the gym and build a body and look good.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you kind of know I mean, it would be a good to have, but you don't want to take the effort, or you don't you really don't want it bad enough. Is how I would say it. Like,
yeah, no doubt. Okay, yeah, no, I'm with you on that. A lot of times, man, those types of wants, if you will, where it's like, yeah, I want to do that, but I don't really, I'm not super motivated to actually manifest it. Usually it's for another reason. Okay. So like, for instance, like the abs example. Okay. Why does this individual actually want a 6-pack? Okay. Well, we'll just say, so he feels more attractive and more confident. Okay. I mean, bottom line, that's usually why most guys want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And put in that effort, but most, not everybody, of course, but, but a lot of guys. And the thing is that how can I word this? You know what it is? It's that the actual reason still doesn't seem really actually attainable. Right? So it's like, okay, I want to have 6-pack abs, so is that I can go over here and feel more attractive, more confident, start, talking to girls and things like that, and and I'll feel better about it and blah 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 because I've got 6-pack abs. Okay, all right, fair enough. But they still think, even with the 6-pack abs, it's probably not still going to be enough. And so it's like, well, yes, I want 6-pack abs, but not that much. You know what I mean? Because even if I get it, now I'm responsible because I've already told myself that will be the outcome if I do that. But I don't believe it, so I'm lying to myself. It's like this weird triangle of logic. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times dudes just don't really take the necessary action steps because it's like, it's self-sabotage. It's just simply, like, it probably still won't work out. So why am I going to starve myself? And why am I going to go to the gym, put in all this extra work and now I'm responsible for it because I already told myself that would be the outcome. And I'm just going to prove myself wrong. You know what I mean? So what's the point?
That's and that's also like, like, it's actually like, taking away the excuse from them in a sense.
Yeah.
Let's say, like, like right now they are like, I can't do this, or I am like, let's say in the dating perspective, let's say I can't date girls because like I don't have a 6-pack or I don't look attractive, is, let's say, their belief.
Yeah.
Okay. Suppose they actually counter it, get attractive and like look fit. And then there's the fear that what if girls still don't like me? Because it's that's like, now it's
That's
like,
exactly
now they're
what I'm
really
talking
forgot. Yeah, like now they're really scared, and
about. Right.
that fear itself, is like you said, self-sabotage to them. That's why they won't do it. Like,
Right.
they logically, if you ask them, they'll give 100 reasons why they need to do it.
Yeah.
But will
It's
they
a fear.
actually do it? Yeah.
It's definition fear of success.
Yep.
Because if I'm successful, then I have to be responsible for that success.
Yep.
And then I might have to duplicate it. And then I might have to duplicate that. You know what I mean?
And
it's
keep
like,
it up, just keep going. I can't make the excuse that, like, this is why I'm unable. Like, that's the crux, right? That's the crutch that, some people use. And it's just like,
I was listening to an interview with a pretty famous musician that's been around a long time. And one of the questions they were asking him was, do like your song ideas, do they just kind of like pop in your head, or do you like sit back and like really like try to analyze it and just like, like how does your ideas come up, And what he had said was, he was like, usually I set aside time and just, and just start thinking and planning and stuff like that. He was like, but every once in a while, an idea will just pop in my head that's like, that's the ticket, like that's it. He's like, and every time that happens, he was like, I feel a sudden, I get a sudden spike of anxiety and a sudden spike of kind of like slightly depressed. Now you would think, right? Like, man, a hit song just came to me. It just, bam, lightning bolt right in the dome. It's like right there. Like, this is the one. This, like my next album's gonna be crazy big because of that idea. But when what he was saying was, when that happens, he knows that he's responsible for the next year of his life. Because of that idea. He has to not only come up with that song, but he has to come up with the accompanying songs to be on the album. So like, yeah, he got one good idea, but now he has to think of a bunch more, he's responsible for it because he had the one good idea. And then he has to make the album. Then he has to go on tour for 6 months. What I mean? So,
and then like, and gets worse. Like, now you have to make a better album. Like, like your next song has to be even better. Like, it just, it's like you said, it's totally fear of success.
Yeah, it's a fear of success for sure. But here's the thing. You can curtail a lot of that type of that thinking simply by knowing exactly what it is that you want. Like to the point of where it's like, this is necessary. Like, it's not like a thing of like, well, I'll get around to it when I get around to it. And like, no. When you have dialed in what it is that you actually want, now you're on a mission, like, or at least you should be. And if you're not, then you don't really want it bad enough. Then you go right back to what we started with. You know what I mean? So you don't really want it that much, or really maybe at all. You know what I mean? I'm really, really big, and this is really the first point here. I'm really big on being intentional about it. When I was doing real estate actively, for those that don't know, I have a background in real estate and things like that. And when I would sit down with a buyer, like, so we'll say, Siobhan, you're in the market, man. You done moved to the United States, and you happen to live in the area that I'm selling houses. Okay, so you're like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm tired of renting. I want to buy a house. I'm like, all right, cool. So you got your pre-approval. You're good. You're ready to go. Like, all right, cool. So I sit down with you, right? And I'm like, Siobhan, what would you like in a house? What exactly are you looking for? The response that I would get, much like, that's why I asked you, I'm like, man, I know you've dealt with this. Anytime that you deal with the public, that you're doing a service, this is always, I don't care what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's inevitable. You're going to run into people very often. They're just clueless about really what it is that they want. So,
Yeah.
you know, when I would ask them, what is it that you want in a house? The response that I generally would get was this. They'd be like, well, needs to be, you know, 1,500 square feet at least. You know, 3 bedrooms at least. A bath and a half, at least, a basement and a garage. And it's like, awesome. Every house on planet Earth. Okay, got it. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally almost every house, you know? And so what ends up happening inevitably is you know, Shabam, I'm going to send, here's 300 listings I found that makes that criteria, you know? So here you go. Sift through that and let me know what you like, and we'll set up time to go take a look, right? So you go through those 300 houses and you're like, hey, Dale, here's 50 that makes sense. And it's like, man, do you know how long it takes to go look at 50 houses? You know what I mean? Like, that is a huge time suck, all right? Plus, on top of that, you know, you got you know, gas money, and, you know, like, again, not only is it a time suck because we're looking at a bunch of houses, but what is that doing? It's taking time away from me to be able to work with other clients because I'm working with you. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna be looking forever. So it makes much more sense in my mind to know exactly what it is that you want in detail. Right? So what I would have them do was I'd say, okay, because I got tired of that real fast. You know, that gets old. You know, like, we're going to spend the next 6 months, you know, just looking at houses. And all we're doing at the end of the day is just a process of elimination. We're not even looking at the houses that you really like. We're just crossing ones off the list that you don't.
Yeah.
And so my thinking was, all right, let me get these people very intentional on what it is that they want. So I'm not burning up the next 6 months to a year of weekends looking around at houses with one person. You know, I can maybe be working with 10 people if I can, you know, scale this, right? So what I would have them do is I would have them close their eyes, and I would have them, you know, take me on a tour of their dream home within their budget. Okay. So everything that they're telling me, I'm like, use all your senses, you know, maybe not taste, but outside of that, you know, use all your senses. And as they start kind of like telling me and describing what it is that they see and the neighborhood and what they hear and all that kind of thing, I'm just writing down what it is that they're telling me, you know? So now, instead of sending you 300 houses, Shabam, I'm sending you like 5. There's really only 5 that meet this criteria, okay? And so with those 5, you're probably gonna, like, you know, want to take a look at 3 of them, you know? So we go and look at those 3 houses, one of which you'll probably want to put an offer in, you know? So instead of the next 6 months, we knock that out in one afternoon, you know? And so that's going after what you want instead of just playing the process of elimination game and just checking ones off the list where you're just burning all this time, effort, energy, money, you know. And so unfortunately, most guys, when it comes to dating and relationships and things like that, they know more about what they don't want than what they do want. Oh, hey, my last relationship was shitty, you know, like this girl I was dating, you know, we went out for 3 or 4 months, and, you know, I didn't like how she, you know, burped at the table, and I didn't like how she, I don't know, I didn't like how she would talk to my sister, you know, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, whatever it is that they didn't like about that previous relationship or previous relationships, okay, cool. You know, then that's fine. You know that you don't want that type of personality or whatever. And it's like, all you're doing is playing avoidance instead of going after what it is that you actually want. You know? And so here's the deal, you know, I think it's so important. This is an exercise, by the way, that I give my students that I work with to help them really dial this in. And what I, you know, like you guys watching or listening to the podcast, this is something you want to take the time out to do. You know, if you're dating, but I mean, the same exercise can apply to a job too. You know, it can apply to just about anything. But let's keep it in the dating realm. All right. Take the time to sit down and draw up an avatar. And I don't mean like literally draw. If I did that, you know, my next dates would all look like stick figures.
Yep.
Because I can't draw for shit. But the thing is that what you want to do is draw the perfect avatar for you, taking everything into consideration. You know, okay, we'll start with looks. You know, like, yep. What do you find to be physically attractive? What type of hair color? What type of eye color? You know, skin tone. You know, what is her you know, her figure? You know, like all that kind of thing. What kind of style? How does she present herself? You know, like, you know, fashion wise. You know, things like that. You know, what is her personality like? What type of personality is she? You know, maybe you're the type of guy that you like a girl that's kind of feisty, you know, like, you know, has a little bit of a bratty mouth on her and things like that. Some guys like that kind of thing. I'm not one of them, but some guys like that. Right?
Like it, yeah.
But or maybe you like a girl who's just, you know, a little bit on the shy, quiet side, you know. Yeah. You know, what type of personality she have? And then here's the man, I can't stress how important this part is. How does that jive with you and your lifestyle and who you are? You know, I had this was, I don't know, man, probably a year ago now, but I was having a conversation with Jared Lawrence, you know, from Modern Success, and we were talking about you know, knowing what you want in a relationship or dating, you know, kind of in essence, the topic we're talking about right now. And what he was saying was, he's like, you know, I really want to, what's funny is the girl, he wasn't dating the girl he's dating now at the time, you know, he's got a serious girlfriend, Anna, who's also with Modern Success. And you know, what was funny was this girl is not really kind of like what he was describing. I mean, in some aspects, yes, you know what I mean? But at the time, you know, but anyway, let me take a step back. So what he was saying was, he's like, man, he's like, I want a girl who's kind of like the female version of me. He's like, I want a girl who is an entrepreneur and has her own thing going on and, you know, running a business or doing something like that, you know, like that kind of thing with like a real strong business mindset. And I'm like, do you sure about that? You know? And he was like, well, yeah, you know, he was like, you know, I would obviously have things in common and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. And I get where you're coming from. But at the same time, I'm like, man, with all the work that you put into Modern Success to make it successful, to live up to the name, you know, with all the work that you put into that, and if she has her own thing and she's putting an equal amount of work into what she's doing, when are you ever going to see her? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, what I'm like,
it's not sustainable, essentially. Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, with as much as we travel and stuff like that for Modern Success, you know, whether it be boot camps or our quarterly retreats, you know, and then other stuff too, speaking engagements or whatever the case might be, you know, the thing is, I'm like, dude, you travel all the time. What if she has to, like, either one, she can't go because she's got her own thing going on at home, right? because she's an entrepreneur, you know, or she's traveling a bunch too, just a different location. Like here's Jared going to Los Angeles, and here she's going to New York. Yeah. You know, and so I'm like, to me, like that doesn't sound like a match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like it would just be.
Like that's the thing. Like, yeah, like it sounds good on paper because you think you would have so much in common, but the reality is there's they say right, opposites attract. There's a reason for it. It's that it's like, you know, it's like yin and yang, like that whole, you know, balance sort of thing. For example, I personally, like if you ask me what type of girl I would like, is someone with a more casual side of job who has more free time. Simply because like I'm more busy. Okay. If she is equally busy, like you said, the first thing would happen is we won't get enough time for each other. Secondly, I intend to have a good family, okay, like kids and everything. If she is equally busy, that's in trouble because, you know, like it's not possible for, you know, to manage all of it together. It's like, it's easier said than done, you know, like obviously kids, they themselves are a full-time job, like, you know it. So like, you know, that's another thing. Also, like assuming if you are like, let's say both of them are equally working hard, like both of us are equally working hard. The problem, what would happen is you come from work, you're tired, you're kind of frustrated. If she is the same, it's like you're now putting two tired people together who might actually end up fighting more than, you know, actually caring for each other. That's because you have business pressure, okay? Like you have work, like something goes wrong at work, like something can happen, shit happens, you know, like that. On the contrary, if she's more of a casual setting, like I'm not saying she doesn't have usual, like she can do something like, you know, or job or something that doesn't take her entire day, essentially. So what happens is, let's say one of these days I get like really worn down and tired, you know, I can come home and she's there to be with me, to spend time with me, to help me relax, sort of thing. It's like, that's the, you know, the supportive partner type role. She's in a place and she has enough free time to, you know, do that role. Otherwise, it's like you just won't have it, man. Like, you know, both people are equally busy, both people are equally frustrated. It's just like, it sounds good on paper to, you know, have like both entrepreneurs sort of thing, but like I personally think the same thing. Like it just gets hell. It would get hell over time.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, you know, another part of this, and to piggyback on what you were just saying, you know, is, you know, being, again, knowing like what your lifestyle is like, right? So again, I'll equate it to doing real estate. You know, I would have people to be like, well, you know, I don't want to be more than 15 minutes from my job. I don't like long commutes and things like that. I want to be, you know, relatively close. It's like, okay, cool. Well, when do you work? Because the thing is, you know, 15 minutes in rush hour traffic, you know, 8:30 in the morning, that 15 minutes, you're gonna have to be a lot closer to that job than you are if you work midnights when there's no traffic. You know what I mean? That now that circle can expand a bit. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's kind of knowing what you're about, what your lifestyle is like. And this is something I would tell people all the time is, you know, what does your life look like? You know, if you're the type of person who you like to, you know, go on 4 vacations a year and 2, you know, go on a cruise a couple times a year, something like that, you know, just because you have $300,000-$400,000 to spend on a house, it doesn't mean that you have to actually spend every penny of it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, if you're the type of person who likes to travel and get out, do things and stuff like that, you know, that takes money to do. And if all your money is wrapped up into your house, that oh so nice house that you were excited about 6 months ago is now, you're like, man, it's just an albatross around your neck. It's just hanging there like weighing you down because you can't go do the things that you actually want to do. But on the flip side of that, if you're the type of person who is a homebody, you know, and you just don't really like to go out that much and, you know, like, you know, my home is my castle type of mentality, then okay, fine. Spend every penny. Get the best house that you can possibly afford, you know, because you're going to spend all your time there.
I'm there. Might as well get the best one,
Right.
like that sort of a thing.
Exactly. So that's what I'm driving at is, I was having a conversation with this dude like a few days ago, and this is the same old song and dance, that I hear all the time. Like, oh, there's no good women out there. I can't, they're all, a bunch of, gold diggers, and they just want, a guy with status, and, he's got to be at least 6 feet tall, and same old same. And it's like, I'm like, okay, cool, man. So I'm like, where do you go to meet women like that you're drawing this type of mentality from? And he's like, well, he's like, every weekend I go out to the bar, go out to the club, things like that. I'm like, okay, all right. Nothing wrong with going to the bar or the club, in my opinion. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing. It's like, I asked him, I'm like, do you like going to those environments? Do you like going to the bar? Do you like going to the club? He's like, no, I hate it. And I'm like, okay. So in other words, what you're telling me is I go to all the places to meet the types of women that like the things that I can't stand. So of course you don't resonate with them.
Exactly.
It'd be like, it would be like me saying like, I really want to grow a social circle. So I'm going to start going to like Ku Klux Klan rallies. I'm not racist or anything, but, I just want to grow my social circle. It's like, as a matter of fact, I don't like racists one bit. Like, does not exist in my reality. It's like, then why are you going to a Klan rally, Dale? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yep. And so like I was like, what do you like to do? And he's like, well, he's like, man, I've really been getting into yoga lately. He's like, I love doing yoga. And I'm like, you ever talk to any of the girls at the yoga studio? He's like, no, never, because I'm not at the club. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, dude, you're literally going to the place that you have things in common with the people around you. You're all doing the same thing. Oh, like literally the same thing. We're all in Downward Dog. We're all in whatever, So like you have things in common with them right off the rip, So why not take advantage of that? Since you know that you like this already, and here's like high quality, women that aren't like necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there might be some of them might like go to the club too and things like that. But at least you're not in the club when you're meeting them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
so.
Yep, exactly.
But that's what I'm getting at is that knowing by knowing what you want, you will then know where to go find what it is that you want. You've defined, like when I was talking about drawing out the avatar, what does she like to do? What are her interests? And in large part, my hunch is you're probably going to write down the stuff you're into. You know what I mean? Like you're probably not going to write something that's contrary. Like I really want a girl that's into surfing. It's like, do you like to surf? I've never been to the beach. Don't even know how to swim. You know what I mean? Like, what? So that's what I mean, though, is you're likely to write down the things that you're interested in. Now, you can start going to these different places with the idea being, if I run into a girl that matches this type of criteria, I know that I have to take action on it. Because how often is that going to happen? How often is the girl that meets this avatar going to present herself? It's not going to be often, And here's the thing too. I've had people who have brought up, like a contrarian type of opinion where they're like, yeah, well, what if your criteria is so stringent that, nobody matches me, and like, yeah, I get that. Like, that's needle in a haystack stuff, But I tell those people, I tell those guys the same thing I used to tell people in real estate. You know, if I'm showing you houses, Shaban, one of the things I'm going to tell you is, you know, look, if a house meets 7, like say you got 10 requirements in a house.
Yeah.
If a house meets 7 or 8 of your 10 requirements, that's a house to put an offer in on. You're not likely to find 10 out of 10. You know, like that's needle in a haystack stuff. You know, you're not going to find it. I mean, if you do, you'd be really lucked out, you know? So, and I would rather not rely on luck, you know? So, so that's what I mean is, look, if a girl's checking off a whole lot of boxes, you know, turns out that she's not a blonde, that she's a brunette, like, can you overlook that? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there should be some things on that list that are non-negotiables, you know, that are complete deal breakers. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, you know, something that may affect, you know, not only health, but the relationship in general. Say she likes to drink. You know what I mean? Like, she, you know, she likes to party, you know, and you're the kind of guy, you're like, yeah, I'm cool with that once in a while, but, you know, I don't need that in my life
thing.
6 out of 7 days of the week, you know? Okay, that's a deal breaker, you know what I mean? Or maybe, you know, maybe she smokes cigarettes, you know, and you're like, not for me, you know, like, I don't want to be around people that smoke. You know, it's going to make her hair smell like smoke, her clothes smell like cigarette smoke. And not for me. And it's a gross habit and just not for me. Like, okay, cool. You know, for me, one of my things is, it's a deal breaker 90% of the time. It's not a hard and fast deal breaker, but it's a deal breaker way more than it's not. You know what I mean? And that, like, I just don't really resonate with single moms. You know, like, if she has kids, 9 times out of 10, I'm out. You know? So, but the thing is that if you know what it is that you're looking for, you know where do these women live? You know, not their actual residence, but where do they congregate? Where do they hang out? Where do they, you know, where are they? Well, once you have that defined, now you know where they are. Like, look, man, you know, say you're the type of guy who, you know, you like cosplay type stuff, and you like, you know, comic book shit and superhero movies and, you know, all that kind of thing. Man, there's so many conventions and stuff like that you can go and meet the type of girls who are into that thing. You know, like, all you got to do is when you see the right one, off you go. You know what I mean? For me, that's not really my thing, but that's not a deal breaker for me. If a girl's into that, like, it's like neutral. Like, it's not something super cool to me. It's not something I would, you know, be like, nah, I ain't with that, you know? So, but for a lot of guys, that's what they like, you know what I mean? And so why not, you know, go to these types of places to meet women, you know what I mean? And my hunch is, by the way, that, you know, if you go to a Comic-Con or something like that, you know, your competition's probably not all that,
I mean,
all that intimidating.
To be fair, I'm guessing that's gonna be the thing, especially, like, again, depends on you as well, right? Like, if you've been, like, if you're like, you know, it's everywhere actually. Like, right now, I feel with our current generation, competition is way easier.
Oh yeah. No,
it's like, before, like, you know, every guy was like jacked. Like, every guy, you know, was like, you know, quote unquote, what people like, you know, alpha male sort of thing. Like, everyone was like that before, you know? Not literal, like, but like,
I know
you get what I'm saying.
People were generally in better health, better shape.
Yeah, better health, better shape, and, you know, they were confident. You wouldn't see a guy being like, you know, I can't, like, that wasn't that big of a deal, and, you know, sort of thing. Now it's like, people are just, you know, they just aren't confident, aren't in good shape, don't know how to, like, you know, even wear proper, like, fitting clothes, and, like, don't even, you know, make a lot of money. So, like, that, you know, gives you a lot of advantage.
I'm with you. But man, if you're building out your avatar to know what it is that you want, this is a point that I cannot stress how important. This is probably the most important part of this, what I'm about to say. Okay. And that point is you have to be super 100% honest with yourself as to what it is that you want. A lot of times, guys want to be a hero to other guys. They want people on social media to see them having like the super hot girlfriend or
model
whatever.
girlfriend. Yeah.
A lot of keeping up with the Joneses type of mentality. Like I got to get on Instagram and I got to flex. You know what I mean? And like, dude, for what? For what reason? Like what you want is what you want. You shouldn't have to be something that's justified to anybody else.
Like you do you. That's what makes you, man. Like, come on.
Right.
That's the whole idea.
Nobody else has to live with your decisions but you.
Yep.
Exactly. And so make those decisions congruent with who you are. Like if I'm like, how silly would this be? Right. So, like if say for instance, I came to India, right? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of vegetarians, in Indian culture, correct?
In certain regions, yes.
Yeah. And beef is just not like really a thing. I mean, I'm sure it's on some level, but not.
But majority no. Yeah.
Right. So like, would it make any sense for me to like I'm somebody, we'll just say I'm somebody, man, like I gotta have a steak 5 times a week, man. Like I'm a carnivore. You know what I mean? Like if I was a dinosaur, man, I'd be a T-Rex. Like I'd just be smashing everything out. And if I was like, I'm gonna show everybody how like forward thinking I am, and like I'm the kind of guy that can I'm the kind of guy who can change the way that I live super easy and so I'm gonna go to India and I'm just gonna be a vegetarian, and with no intentionality of like that really even be the thing I want to do or something like that. I'm just doing it to show everybody what an adventurous guy I am. That's not even something I really want to do. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it for clicks and views. Like that's not going to serve me. Like not really. You know what I mean?
It's just going to make you miserable.
Right. Man, I had a student that was working with me here in Detroit. Okay. And this guy, he was one of these guys that, like early on, like I would have to push him a lot to like, we're at the mall. We used to like go do day game quite a bit. And so we were at the mall and like sometimes I would like physically have to push him, not just verbally, but like go, you know what I mean? And so, we were probably, I bet this is probably our 10th time going out, and he was like, man, he's like, Dale, he's like, the women that you push me to go talk to, yes, they're objectively attractive, because let me take a step back real quick here. If he wouldn't, he couldn't take it on himself at that point to go talk to anybody, so I would have to push him. So obviously I have to be the one to pick out who he's going to go talk to, because he ain't going to take the initiative on his own. So I'm telling him, I'm like, all right, man, go talk to her. And he's like, yes, these girls are objectively attractive and things like that. He's like, but they're not really my type. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, so what's your type? He's like, man, now mind you, this is white dude from kind of like out in the sticks, like country, all that kind of thing. And he's like, man, I like black ghetto fat girls. And I'm like, well, you have made my job 1,000 times easier, but I'm like, dude, why don't you tell me that right from the jump?
Yeah.
Because he was embarrassed. He was ashamed to tell me what it was he actually likes, because he didn't want my perception of him to lessen because he's not living up to my expectations as to what he should find attractive. But the thing, what I told him was, I was like, dude, I was like, man, that's crazy talk, because we're not here for me. We're here for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about me and what I like. It's about you and what you want. So, like, let's do that. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't care what you like. It don't make a difference to me. You know, I'm not the one that has to, you know, chop it up and, you know, go do the approaches and all that kind of thing. You are, you know, so like, let's focus on that. And so from there on out, things got significantly easier for him, because he wasn't doing it to, you know, like try to impress anybody or anything like that. He was doing it because it's something that really resonated with him.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, if you can't, man, like, if you feel this urge, or you feel some type of embarrassment or shame or something like that, because, you know, like, you want something that doesn't seem like is something that you should want, well, you know, look, you know, and I don't mean to like bring down the room or be morbid or anything like that, but, you know, look, you're on the clock, man. You know, like, how long are you going to, you know, keep yourself from going after what it is that you want in order to satisfy what other people think that you should have? Or
Exactly.
that you
And
should.
like, there's times where, you know, what other people act like, you know, I'll give you an example. Okay. I had a friend of mine. He was an elder friend. Okay. He, like, at the time got like a really, really hot, like, you know, wife. And like, everyone was like, you know, damn, he's lucky, sort of thing. And like, I was a bit skeptical, because I talked to him before, and the, like, you know, the type of girl he said he wanted, like you said, versus what she was like a bit, you know, there was like a big dismatch. Like, you know, it just felt different. I'm like, okay, his choice, like, you know, it is what it is, sort of thing. But later down the line, like 1-2 years, and then, you know, they had kids and all, like, it really fell apart, because this guy is like a very quiet, like, introverted type of guy. Okay. She, on the other hand, is pretty as hell, but is more of a party, like, you know, extroverted girl. And it just didn't match. Like, she was pretty to anyone who looks at her, obviously, but, you know, they weren't a match. And then it really started, like, you know, like, snowballing, in the sense that, you know, she stopped taking care of the kids. Then, like, you know, he's the only one left, you know, who's trying to, like, keep the house together, when, like, it's just, you know, it's just a matter of time about, you know, before it's about to break, sort of thing. And that's like the whole reason. And, you know, I talked with him, and, you know, I asked him, like, you know, and he then later, like, just said, like, you know, he actually didn't like her that much. It was just because he liked the, you know, like, as in, because she was pretty, and he wanted to make everyone happy, according to his words, that he found, like, you know, he wanted to show off to his friends and, you know, the people he knew, that, yes, I have a, like, you know, a really pretty girlfriend. That was that was what he was thinking at the time. But the reality is, that's what was not going to make him happy, because he just wasn't happy. And that's what at the time he thought that's what he wanted, but later, like 1-2 years later, he really started, you know, regretting his choice, because he did something to please other people rather than to, you know, make himself happy. And that's kind of the whole thing.
You know, I mean, guys that do that kind of thing, it's like, it's hard to feel sorry for them, because it's like, dude, you did it to yourself, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like,
it's like, you know, jumping in a well and asking, like, you know, why did you get hurt and wet? And it's like, well, you did what you did. Like, what do you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, no doubt. You know, so, you know, I can hear, and like the example that you just gave, you know, like, he's one of the kind of, well, let me gather my thoughts here for a second. So, all right, a lot of times, you know, like, when we're talking about this type of thing, you know, I'll have guys, they'll be like, well, Dale, I mean, come on, man. Like, so what? I'm just supposed to find this perfect girl and just neglect and negate any other type of girl. I'm just on this, you know, tunnel vision to find this one person. No, I am not saying that. What I am saying is when that girl presents herself, you know it because you've already got it dialed in. But yeah. There's other, like, see, now what he should have did, the guy that you're talking about, he should have, like, you know, maybe instead of like getting married to her, you know, maybe have it as earlier on, maybe it's like a friends with benefits situation or something like that, you know, like if you're only fixated on just the avatar and anything that doesn't match the avatar just is, you know, may as well not even exist. You know, you're missing out on a lot of awesome opportunities. You know, you're missing out on a lot of adventures. You're missing out on meeting a lot of cool people and things like that. Is everybody going to be, is every woman going to be a match from a romantic or sexual standpoint? No. You know what I mean? But the way I look at it is like this. You know, just like in sales, you know, you have sales funnels, right? So I might have a funnel for, you know, a relationship funnel. So the girl that, you know, matches the avatar, when I see her, bloop, that's where she goes in the relationship funnel. Okay. The next to that might be a girl, like a dating funnel. So in other words, she might meet the criteria for a relationship. I'm just not really sure yet. I just got to find out a little bit more about her, you know, things like that. Bloop, that's the funnel she goes in. Next to that, you know, might be, hey, this girl's really cool. I like her. She's attractive. But, you know, her life is a mess, you know? So, okay, that's the friends with benefits funnel. You know what I'm saying? Then, you know, maybe some girl who has a really cool personality and just maybe not my cup of tea, you know, in terms of looks or, you know, or other circumstances or whatever, you know, okay, she goes in the friend funnel, you know, and because that girl likely has other friends and things like that, and, you know, might be good for my social circle, whatever, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying is, don't take what we're talking about with the avatar and take it to the nth degree where it's like, this is the only thing that Dale said, this is the only thing that matters. So I got to find that one girl. It's like, no, man, like, you know, like, yes, be proactive about finding those types of girls, but don't make it so singular that it's like, you know, like on my avatar, you know, the girl has to be blonde. This girl meets like so many requirements, but she's a brunette, so away with you.
Exactly. Like another thing I would point out is, you know, like people need experience. Like the biggest issue that guys have is that they just like experience. It's like, you know, okay, let's say you went to, you know, the grocery store and, you know, decided to pick an apple. Okay. And let's say there's like, you know, one apple, like one type of apple, or there's just two apples. And that's the only apple you have tasted.
Yeah.
You can't make a comparison and say, you know, like, okay, this quality or this type of apple is better than this one. You just don't know.
Right.
Now, take someone who has maybe tasted 10 apples or let's say 20 apples. That person is in a better situation to know, okay, what he actually likes. Now, because he just doesn't know, like, you know, unless you have that much experience to actually differentiate between what you actually like versus what you don't like, you won't really know. Because you may think that you like something, but when you get it, you realize that's, you know, that really wasn't for me. So I think it's just that you just don't know, right? It's just like, it's that sort of a thing. So for guys, actually, like, it's always better to experience stuff. Obviously, use your brain. Don't go into, like, you know, if there's a staring red flag, don't go, like, you know, bulldoze into it. Like, come on. But take the opportunity to experience, like, you know, get more experiences, be it friends with benefits, just date in general or whatever. Just, like, you know, be open to it. Don't be like, you know, don't marry the first girl you date, like, for God's sake.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Well, on that note, I think we're good. We good?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. So look, guys, man, if what we were talking about on this podcast, and you know, maybe you're new to the podcast, whatever, you know, subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. You know what I mean? Like, and I say that, you know, and what content creator doesn't say that, you know? But the thing is, it's important. That's why everybody fucking says it. You know, costs you nothing, means a lot to us. Okay, and so, you know, subscribe to the channel. You know, look, maybe you got a buddy who's like, you know, struggles with a lot of the things that we talk about on this podcast. You know, man, send them the link. Share it with them, you know, like this is about helping with, you know, your inner game, but not just you. Look out for your people around you, man. Birds of a feather and such, you know, like if you're trying to improve, why not, you know, talk to your man about him improving, you know, like talk to your homie over here, you know what I mean? Whatever. But if it's something that you're working on together, it makes it so much easier. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, man, is somebody getting shot over there or something?
You wish. It's fireworks. The festival is...
I wish. Like, oh, you wish. Like, I do? Like, I was just thinking about that before we're jumping on, man. I hope somebody gets shot on this podcast today.
At least you'll get the views. Dark side. No, it's fireworks. It's fireworks.
Right, I got you. So, you sure? All right. So here's the deal too. Look, as I talked about before, go to freegiftfromdale.com. You know, find out about that intrinsic value. Find out at the core who you are. Couple it with what we talked about today. And I'm telling you, man, it is going to make a world of difference. So check it out. And I will see you there, and we will see you in the next one.